is here. Of course. Best wishes. Spring has sprung. Very well. Let's go. Yes? Best wishes. Time for a swim? Yes?
Hey everyone, GuardianE here with another Camilla Emblem clear video in Fire Emblem Heroes. Today we'll be taking on Haar on his very own Grand Hero battle on Infernal Difficulty. So Haar, the Black Tempest, makes his way into Fire Emblem Heroes as a green flyer, and his map is actually pretty straightforward. No reinforcements whatsoever. You kind of have this spread out orientation where you have Haar off to the side here. He has his Aegis ready, Sword Cavalier, along with a Blue Mage, Sword Dragon, Green Flyer, and Lance Cavalier off in the corner. The map actually has a pretty interesting layout. Since the enemies are all kind of spread out across the area, you have these forested areas as well as these two pillars that kind of block the way. You have this crumbleable wall as well as sort of an ocean area, and then you have this wall off to the side that kind of sandwiches your units in a little bit. Their starting orientation is just in between the pillars, so again that just limits the initial movement ability of your team to engage. So as I mentioned, there are no reinforcements, and the enemy forces are set up in such a way as to take advantage of the wave skills. They're equipped with a number of different wave skills, and they're set up defensively, and they won't move on turn one unless you bait them. So they're perfectly content in sitting back. They're not going to advance on you unless you lure them in. And further, on turn one, they'll get a whole host of buffs because they have these wave skills, they have some chill skills, and they also have panic ploy. So they have a number of skills that they can take advantage of against your team on turn one. So one potential strategy, and one that we employed here, is to hit them really hard on turn one player phase so that they don't even get the advantage of the debuffs and the buffs on their side of things on their turn. That way you're not crippling yourself by facing them when they're buffed, and also you're not debuffed. As mentioned, Haar himself has Odd Defense Wave 3, so on turn 1 he's going to get a huge buff to his already pretty substantial 39 defense. He comes with Aegis, so that on turn 1, if you decide to attack him with a ranged unit, that unit is going to only do 50% of their damage. And he also comes with Steady Stance 3, so on enemy phase, or rather on player phase for you, but enemy phase for him, he'll get a +6 to his defense, as well as guard. So that's all with the intended purpose of him being able to tank and attack and not die in one turn. That's really the purpose of it, because that stacking with the Odd Defense Wave 3 means that he's going to have just substantial defenses. He'll be able to tank damage from using Aegis from a range, and he'll be able to tank damage up close because of his substantial defense and the stance skill and the Odd Defense Wave 3. We also have this Sword Cavalier off to the side, has Armor Smasher, Glimmer, also has Sturdy Blow, Axe Breaker, and even Attack Wave 3, so that on even turns, Haar will be able to take advantage of an additional attack boost rather than a defense boost. and that could play into whatever strategy you employ. We'll talk about that a little bit later. The blue mage here has Blarraven, has Swift Sparrow, Red Tonebreaker, and Panic Ploy. Panic Ploy can be annoying depending on how your team is oriented. Keeping in line with sort of the mixed tanky units, we have this Sword Dragon, has Barrier Blade, as well as Bracing Stance, Guard again, and Guidance for some tricky shenanigans as far as movement is concerned. We have this green flyer off to the side, Gronowl and Iceberg. Also has Attack Speed Bond 3, Chill Attack 3, and Distant Guard 3. Again, in line with the theme of being sort of an enemy phase, defensive-oriented enemy forces. And we have this Lance Cavalier that kind of breaks that mold with a Fire Sweep Lance, Luna, Heavy Blade, Dragback, as well as Odd Attack Wave 3. So this Lance Cavalier is obviously more offensive-oriented, which also makes sense because he is the overextended unit of the batch, basically. He's the only one that has a square that's not overlapping with any other enemy phase unit right here. So if you did want to bait the enemies in, what you could potentially do is tank the Axe Cavalier. Now, of course, you wouldn't be able to take out the Axe Cavalier on enemy phase because he has a Fire Sweep Lance, unless, of course, you had a Sweep Nullification skill. But all the same, the intended purpose of the Lance Cavalier is to make you feel comfortable in baiting him, and then of course he's going to use Dragback to pull you into the range of his allies here. Okay, so that is the enemy team setup. Let's talk a little bit about the setup that we have for Camilla Emblem here. Let's start with Vanilla Camilla. So Vanilla Camilla plus 10 has Camilla's Axe, Reposition, Draconic Aura, Distant Counter, Renewal, Hone Flyers for the C-Slot, and Brazen Attack Res 3 for the Seal. She is a speed asset. Spring Camilla here has Gronraven, Reposition, Draconic Aura, Triangle Adept, Vantage, Goad Flyers, and Distant Defense 3. You just saw my playthrough. She absolutely didn't do anything. The only thing she did was provide a Goad Flyer support, so obviously you can substitute her for really any other unit. In order to manipulate the AI, you probably want to use a very low-res green unit if you can, potentially with Triangle Adept. Next we have Summer Camilla. Summer Camilla is merged at +1. She is a plus attack. Summer Camilla has Blarblade, Fury, Desperation, Reposition, Draconic Aura, Goad Flyers for the C-Slot, and Flyer Formation for the Seal. And finally, we have New Year's Camilla here, merged at +10. She's kind of the star of the show here. Slaying Edge plus Gale Force Heavy Blade build. So she has Slaying Edge with the Attack Refinement, Gale Force, Reposition, Death Blow for the A-Slot in order to secure those Heavy Blade procs and secure a couple of kills that were pretty close, Desperation for the B-Slot, Goad Flyers for the C-Slot, and naturally Heavy Blade for the Seal. She is merged at +10 and has a speed asset. So we didn't have to change any of the skills, the default skills that I usually run in with. This map is actually pretty easy for Fire Emblem if you have a balanced team, and especially if you have a Gale Force user, because a Gale Force user can just kind of run amok. They try to nullify the Gale Force effectiveness by adding these 2 guard units over here, which is a noble goal, of course, but of course that just leaves this Blue Mage and Sword Cavalier here for you to target instead and get your Heavy Blade procs on. Now I will note, if you're running Camilla Emblem and you don't have a balanced team, you can still run Camilla Emblem and clear this pretty easily. There are a variety of different ways you can do that. For one thing, by tanking off to the side here like we talked about. But not only that, you can take the fact that the enemy doesn't move on turn 1 to your advantage. Obviously on turn 1, if you let them do whatever they want to do, they're going to get all of those buffs and panic ploys off, which is kind of a bad thing. But you can basically wait a turn until basically turn 2, where Haar is not going to be getting a defensive boost, and you can engage on him directly rather than doing it out of the gate on turn 1. So that is an option as well, but really because we're able to, we're just going to let New Year's Camilla kind of run amok, Gale Force dance her way across of the units, and do the work for us. So we'll use Vanilla Camilla to reposition New Year's Camilla into position, and she can engage on the Blue Mage, double up on her, and take her out on player phase, activate Gale Force in the process. Now she can engage on Haar. She's just shy of the damage that she needs. So in order to accomplish getting the additional damage that we're looking for, all we have to do is reposition Summer Camilla over here. She is now in the range of the Sword Cavalier, but that's okay. She has triangle advantage as well as decent defenses. 26 is enough, certainly, and certainly has enough speed that she won't be doubled. So we'll use that to our advantage, have New Year's Camilla engage on Haar. She will then double and take Haar out. She'll take minimal damage in the process. The Sword Cavalier is going to run up, try to attack Summer Camilla. Summer Camilla will just tank that damage. The Sword Fighter will engage on New Year's Camilla as well, and in the process also activate her Gale Force. Because New Year's Camilla did not have Gale Force active since Haar had Guard for his B slot. And now all we have to do is really just, again, let New Year's Camilla do the work for us. We're going to engage on the Sword Cavalier. She now has Desperation active, so she has no risk of actually being counterattacked on the first 2 attacks anyway. And then she'll go ahead and engage on the Green Flyer as well, take her out. And now everybody is just set up to be dominated by the rest of the Camillas. We're going to have Summer Camilla take out the Sword Dragon on player phase. And similarly, we're going to have Vanilla Camilla take out the Lance Cavalier on player phase. And then Spring Camilla is just going to chill back there. So yeah, pretty straightforward. Like I said, this map wasn't terribly difficult. There are different ways that you can approach it depending on what units you're using, but all in all, pretty manageable, pretty easy map, and Haar is a nice unit to get in the process. So let me know what strategies and teams you ended up utilizing to clear this Grand Hero battle on Infernal Difficulty. Hopefully you enjoyed watching the clear, and if you did, please feel free to leave us a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more Fire Emblem Heroes content. We thank you so much for watching and taking some time out of your day to spend with us. And until next time, let's protect those skies.